There are nights when deep down, you're about to get a front row seat to someone's unraveling. And there's nothing you can do but brace yourself and keep the plow moving forward. That was me, stuck in the middle of a blizzard so heavy it felt like the whole sky was just falling on Fort Collins, Colorado. I'd only managed to clear half of Miller's hardware lot when my phone buzzed, warning me about the storm picking up steam. I could barely see the end of my own hood, but I didn't have time to worry. I had contracts to keep, roads to clear, and more than 30 properties, plus a couple of residential subdivisions like Meadowbrook Hills, depending on me to keep them from turning into winter obstacle courses. Meadowbrook Hills paid well. The HOA was notorious for their rules: paint colors, trash times, how long your grass could be before you get a letter in the mail. But hey, the money was solid, the people were mostly fine, and 3 years in, I'd learned every twist in those winding, picture-perfect streets. My truck, a battered but loyal F-350 I'd brought back from the brink, was my livelihood. I just put fresh tires on, checked the fluids, sharpened the plow blade, the whole 9 yards. The thing was more reliable than most folks I'd met doing this job. That night, snow was coming down so fast my wipers sounded like they were about to tap out. I dropped the blade and started working Maple Ridge, carving a path through the whiteout, pushing snow where the HOA said it was allowed. It was about 8:40 when I spotted headlights coming down Oakmont Circle, a white SUV weaving a little too wild for the conditions. Most drivers would slow down seeing a snowplow in this weather, but not this one. The Lexus barreled toward me, way too fast for a 24-foot street half eaten up by my plow. I pulled as far right as I could, put my foot on the brake, and just waited, heart pounding, mind racing. Sure enough, the Lexus skidded, tires locked, slid sideways, and crashed right into the steel blade of my plow. Not a massive hit, just enough to make the night sing with the sound of metal and fiberglass giving up. Everything was quiet after, except my hazard lights blinking through the snow. Then her door flew open, and out came a woman already yelling before she was even fully upright. Even with snow whipping in her face, I recognized Brenda Carmichael, Meadowbrook Hills HOA president. Short blonde hair, athleisure that probably cost more than my rent, voice sharp as black ice. "What the hell were you doing?" she screamed. "You just sat there in the middle of the road." I kept it cool, tried anyway. "Mrs. Carmichael, I was stopped on the right side. You slid into me." She was having none of it, swearing the whole thing was my fault, waving her phone like a badge, threatening to call the police. I snapped a dozen pictures, both cars, the skid marks, the position of my truck. Figured if this turned into an insurance headache, I'd want the evidence before the snow covered everything up. And trust me, it was coming down so fast, I had to keep snapping photos every few minutes just to show the scene as it was. The dispatcher told her it'd be at least 45 minutes for a police response. Roads were a mess everywhere. So there we sat, Brenda and her Lexus, me and my truck, both of us stewing in our own ways. A few neighbors slowed down, nobody offered to help, typical really. Eventually, Brenda stalked over, shifting tactics but not tone. "The HOA won't be happy about this," she warned. "You're here to clear snow, not damage residents' cars." I pointed to the evidence all around us. "You lost control and hit me. The photos don't lie." That's when she threatened my contract. "I can terminate you right now if I decide you violated the terms." I almost lost it but kept my voice steady. "The contract's clear. Accidents caused by residents aren't on me." The cop finally arrived, a young guy named Officer Martinez. He was professional, methodical, took our statements, walked the scene, measured tire tracks. When he called us over to his cruiser, I braced myself for more of Brenda's drama. "Mr. Kellerman, your truck was legally parked, warning lights on, doing snow removal. Mrs. Carmichael, your vehicle slid into his after braking too hard for the conditions. I'm issuing a citation for driving too fast for conditions." Brenda lost it. "You're giving me a ticket? You know who I am." "Ma'am, the traffic laws don't care about titles," he replied, handing her the ticket. "You can contest it in court." She promised this wasn't over, demanded I pay her $1,000 deductible on the spot, said she'd call an emergency HOA meeting about my contract. I told her flat out, I'm not paying. That's what insurance is for. She was so mad she could barely speak, just fogged up my window and stalked off with the tow truck. The next few days were a mess of phone calls and emails. My insurance agent, Gloria, told me to document everything and not to pay a dime. Sure enough, I got a board meeting notice from the HOA. Brenda's doing. That night at the clubhouse, Brenda tried to paint me as negligent, showed off her damaged Lexus, a wrist brace that had suspiciously appeared since the accident, and talked about her injuries. But the board wasn't buying it. Daniel, the treasurer, asked to hear my side. I laid out the photos, the police report, the contract, all of it. Susan, the secretary, studied the evidence, nodded slowly. Brenda got desperate, demanded I pay her deductible or she'd push to terminate my contract. I looked her straight in the eye. That's extortion. I'm not paying for something I didn't cause. The room got tense, folks whispering. Daniel stepped in, steady as ever. We're looking at the evidence, Brenda. The police say Ryan wasn't at fault. Patricia, another board member, finally said, we've never had any complaints about Ryan. I'm not comfortable terminating without cause. Brenda stormed out, threatening to sue me in small claims court. The board apologized, asked me to keep working, said they'd stand by me. 2 weeks later, the lawsuit arrived. Brenda wanted $3,800 for her deductible, medical bills, and pain and suffering. My insurance company assigned me a lawyer named Thomas Reeves. Calm, smart, unflappable. He dug into the case, found out Brenda didn't seek treatment for her wrist until days after the accident. Not a good look for her. Court day came and Brenda went all out. Photos, bills, statements about my supposed negligence. Thomas countered with the police report, my photos, even the medical timeline. Judge Morrison didn't take long. Claim denied. Case dismissed. Brenda blew up, threatened to ruin me in town, but the judge warned her about harassment. That should have been the end, but Brenda doubled down. She filed complaints with the BBB, left fake negative reviews online, called my clients to badmouth me, even accused me of operating with a fake business license. Every time, I documented, responded calmly, and let the facts speak for themselves. The breaking point was when Thomas sent her a cease and desist, listing out every false report, every bit of harassment. 3 days later, Daniel from the HOA called. Brenda's out. The board found out she used HOA money to hire a private investigator to dig up dirt on you. She's being removed. Not long after, Brenda was charged with filing false police reports. The HOA sued her for misusing community funds. She pleaded no contest, paid fines, did community service, and had to repay the money. When spring came, Daniel handed me a bonus check, $2,000, with an apology. The board wanted to renew my contract for next year. Patricia, now the president, was professional, straightforward. The residents waved at me again, gave me thumbs up. Life slowly got back to normal. But I never forgot the lesson. Power in small communities, heck, anywhere, can go sideways when someone lets it go to their head. The only thing that kept me safe was the truth and a stack of records, photos, contracts, reports, and not giving into intimidation, even when it would have been easier to just write a check and move on. By next winter, business was booming. I had 2 trucks, brought on a college kid named Marcus who wanted to learn the ropes. Meadowbrook Hills was back on the schedule, this time with a board that actually cared about fairness. Brenda had moved away, her story just a cautionary tale among the neighbors. Sometimes when the snow falls just right and the sunrise hits the hills, I think back to that night. If I just paid Brenda off, it all would have been different, maybe quieter, but definitely not right. Standing your ground is hard, messy, and sometimes expensive. But it's the only way you make sure bullies don't get to rewrite the story. In the end, justice worked. Slow, clumsy, but it worked. I still drive the same streets, clear the same snow, and earn my living honestly. And I know now that no HOA president, no matter how entitled, can take away the satisfaction of doing the job right. So let me ask you, where's the line for standing up for yourself? Is there ever a point where you just give in to keep the peace, or is it always worth fighting for what's right? Drop your thoughts below, or share if you've had a run-in with someone like Brenda.